What is going on, guys? It's your boy Wappy here, aka Nemo, aka Nemo Hose. And today, you guys, we're back with another Marvel Strike Force video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the top 10 best teams to build for Marvel Strike Marvel Strike Force for March of 2024, and possibly for these teams are going to be good for a couple of months. Okay. I also threw in the top 5 best plug and play characters in my opinion. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, so before we get started, let me just explain to you guys how I went ahead and ranked these teams. So we have a score of 1 to 5, representing how many tunes on that team are relevant to the game mode in the current meta. Now, 25 is the highest possible score. So an S++ team is going to have a score of 25, meaning they're scoring 5 across the board on all 5 game modes. There's really only 5 game modes that I went ahead and scored on. That's going to be Arena, Dark Dimension, Cosmic Crucible, Raids, and War, Alliance War. Okay, so all right, so the first team on this list, we have the Secret Defenders, consisting of Black Cat, Ghost Rider Robbie, Miss Marvel Hardlight, Photon, and Doctor Strange. Now, I went ahead and put the names of these characters in order of which characters I believe that you should be building up more or investing most of your resources into. So if you notice the first 2 names on the left that I went ahead and listed, Black Cat, Ghost Rider Robbie, those are the top 2 best characters on that team. Miss Marvel Hardlight is third, then Photon, then Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange typically is the one character on this team that ends up getting subbed out whenever you're using this team in Cosmic Crucible or Alliance War. So he's probably the least important to build. Not probably, he is. He is the least important character to build, in my opinion. Now, I went ahead and gave him a score of 5 in Arena. Now, I know some of you guys are going to say, well, hey, Wapo, didn't your rankings just say that they're going to get a 5 if all 5 characters are going to be used in Arena? Yes, I did say that. However, because they are the dominant force in Arena, I had to give them a 5. I could not give them just a 2 or a 3 because I know most people are going to just be using Black Cat, Robbie, and Miss Marvel Hardlight. Some of you guys are using Photon, but I just couldn't give them a 4 or a 3. I had to give them a 5 just because they are the current Apex Arena team. A lot of people are just using either Black Cat and Robbie or Black Cat, Robbie, and Miss Marvel Hardlight, and then plugging in Super Skrull and Black Knight. That's currently what I'm seeing in Arena myself. But because, again, they are the best team in the game, in my opinion, I went ahead and gave them a 5 in Arena. Dark Dimension, I gave them a 5 as well. You could make the case that all 5, could be built for Dark Dimension. I did take up Doctor Strange to G18. I didn't actually use him in the Cosmic Nudes of G8 of DD6 because I had other options that I had built up. But he's relatively cheap, so if you guys are looking for a cheap option for Cosmic and don't really have anything else built and want to really go all in on Secret Defenders, Doctor Strange is not the worst option in my opinion. But he's definitely not a character that I would suggest for you guys to build up for Cosmic. I just built him up because he's cheap. Anyway, Dark Dimension, I did give him a 5. I think Black Cat is an amazing legendary tune, and she's going to be a staple for people's rosters when it comes to Dark Dimension planning. Ghost Rider Robbie has been absolutely amazing. He was the MVP of the city nodes in Dark Dimension 6 for me. He absolutely carried along with Firestar, and we'll talk about her a little bit later. Photon was great in Cosmic. I paired her up with Val, Kang, Kestrel, so she was good. She held her own. She was just a little bit squishy, but if I had a couple more yellow stars on her, then maybe it would have increased her survivability a little bit. And then Hardlight, she is a good city option as well. A lot of people are using Sinister 6, but Miss Marvel Hardlight is a fantastic character. She's really the only thing right now in the game that sort of slows down Apocalypse. So she gets a ton of value. I mean, she's going to be relevant for a very long time for that reason, is because she's really one of the only characters that can actually slow down Apocalypse, because she ends up taunting whenever he does his ultimate, and Apoc is forced to do his empowered basic on her. So she's really, really good. So I gave him a 5 across the board. I just think they're a phenomenal team. Crucible, I gave him a 5. They're fantastic in Crucible. They have been, they don't really get beat by too much. You have to either throw in like a new Warriors, big new Warriors, or mirror match it, or MOE. It's gonna require some really strong Crucible offense team to take these guys out. And then in War, obviously gave a 5 for the same reasons as, as Arena, Dark Dimension, and Crucible. They're an apex War team, probably one of the top 3 War teams in my opinion. And then Raids, I gave them a 2. Couldn't give them a 1 or a 0. I know nobody really uses any of these characters in Raids, but because of how good they are, I could not give them a 2. So I gave them a 2 just because I think Robbie and Black Cat might have some plug and play value in Raids, but obviously they're not really intended for Raids. But either way, doesn't matter. So that brings their overall score to a 22 out of 25, which puts them in S+, and that's Sacred Defenders for you. All right, so the next team on this list, we have Superior 6. Now, Superior 6 is pretty cracked now. They just got a rework not too long ago. So the team is consistent of Green Goblin Classic, Doc Ock, Lizard, Vulture, and Kraven. Now, if you're a new player, this is probably the best team that you could build starting out. It's farmable. They're pretty damn good in just about every single game mode. And if you're just starting out and you don't have access to Secret Defenders, this is probably going to be your next best team in terms of Arena goes. So I went ahead and gave them a score of a 3 in Arena. And the 3 characters that I put on that list that you could use and build a team around would be Green Goblin Classic, Lizard, and Doc. Doc's going to provide that survivability. Lizard's going to be your main tank. And then you have Green Goblin Classic putting out some damage as well as some control with his, rewinds and all that good stuff. Gave him a score of 5 in Dark Dimension. I think all of them have some viability in Dark Dimension. Vulture being amazing in City, Kraven as well being really good in City, and Lizard as well. If you have those 3 in City, I think you're set, man. You have a really good core in those 3 characters. Doc Ock, although a little bit pricey, he's pretty expensive for a tech character. He provides a ton of sustainability in Dark Dimension for you in the legendary nodes. And then Green Goblin Classic is by far one of the best legendary characters in the game. He's up there with Black Cat. So I think Green Goblin Classic, just like Black Cat, is going to be a staple for most people when it comes to legendary nodes for Dark Dimension. So for me, Dark Dimension, the Dark Dimension rank was a no-brainer. They absolutely get a 5. Cosmic Crucible, they're one of, if not the best Cosmic Crucible offense team at the moment. So went ahead and gave them a 5. That's kind of a no-brainer. War, same thing. One of the best teams in War right now. They kill quite a bit of stuff. So gave them a 5 in there as well. And then Raids, I gave them a 3. Again, just because of how good the team is and how well-rounded the team is, it hurts for me to give them anything lower than a 3, right, for just how good of a team this is. So I went ahead and put Classic, Vulture, and Doc. They're all going to, have some... They may have some, plug and play ability for you in Raids, depending on where you're at. Obviously, if you're doing like Incursion 2, that doesn't apply because you need to have full built teams with some synergy for you to actually make any progress in them. But if you're new and you're just starting out, these might be some options for you if you're not quite sure what to build and you don't have, some other options. So that's Superior 6 for you. Amazing team. If you're new, absolutely build them up. They're going to be one of the best teams that's going to have some longevity, and they're fantastic in just about every single game mode. All right, next on this list, this is one of the newer teams. We have Hivemind. Hivemind consisting of Void Knight, Red Goblin, Gwenom, Venom, and Carnage. Now, some of these images you might see that I only have 4 out of the 5 characters on as the graphic. I couldn't find anything for Red Goblin, any images for Red Goblin, so don't mind that. It is a 5-piece team. It's not a 4-piece team. So and as far as their ranking goes, I went ahead and gave him a 2 in Arena. Now I gave him a 2 because I think that Red Goblin, well, honestly, I gave him a 2 specifically because Void Knight is just that damn good. So with this list, I know that I said it's from 1 to 5, depending on how many characters they use in that particular game mode. That's what's going to depict their score. But when a character is so impactful on the team and is so impactful in the meta, it gives them a bit of extra points. It's almost like Void Knight being so good counts for 2 people, right? So I went ahead and gave him a 2 in Arena just because of how strong and how good Void Knight is. If you see Black Knights in Arena, Void Knight is going to be your go-to to make sure that you can flip that taunt and not get stuck behind that Black Knight, and you're actually able to make some headway and possibly end up beating that team with Black Knight. So for that reason, Void Knight just absolutely deserves to be there. I think he's one of the best characters in the game. Dark Dimension gave him a 3. you can make a case that, you know, Venom Carnage would be a really, really good pair. Obviously, Void Knight is a fantastic character in his own right. I think Void Knight as a standalone character, I think he deserves to be like an S tier character. So just because of that, you know, you could take in Venom Carnage and Void Knight into Dark Dimension, and I think they'll do great for you. Cosmic Crucible, because of how new the team is, this happens a lot in this game, is whenever a new team gets released, it's always really tricky trying to figure out like what types of teams will counter it, right? So because of how new they are, and we're still trying to figure out this meta with not only the room rules in Cosmic Crucible, but also just how the team mechanics work, and you know how the interactions work against different teams. You know, they're tricky, man. They're tricky, especially if you throw them in 4 with like a Super Scroll, or throw them in 4 with like a Hive with like, I don't know, Black Knight or something. It's a tough team to beat, and I've underestimated them a couple times, and they've kicked my butt. So for that reason, I gave them a 5. I think they're fantastic. I mean, if you're looking for a counter for out of time, I see a lot of out of times with Super Scroll in 4, and you sort of need this team. This team is kind of a must if you're trying to one shot and you're trying to be as efficient as possible in Crucible. So you pair the 4 piece of this team with Apocalypse, and most, you know, depending how you play it and stuff, and the size of your team, of course, you should be able to get that one shot in on the out of time scroll team, and that's a really, really tough team to beat right now. So this team is kind of a must-have if you're trying to place really high in Crucible. In War, I gave them a 4 just because, like I said, they're a new team, they're tricky. These rankings are, you know, subject to change. You know, we'll revisit this in about a month from now and see, or maybe a couple months from now, and see how it goes. And where they place in Arena. But for now, we're going to give them a 4 because of how good the team is. Just they're pretty well-rounded, but obviously they're meant for raids. So for raids, we absolutely gave them a 5. They're the best bio raid team in the game. They replaced Rebirth, and yeah, pretty simple, kind of a no-brainer. That puts their overall score at a 19 out of 25, giving them an A+ for me. Alrighty, the next team on my list is Extreme X-Men. Now we got the Extreme X-Men consisting of Nightcrawler, Gambit, Forge, Sunspot, and Cyclops. Man, what can I say about this team? They're pretty awesome, dude. They're really, really good. Now, as far as Arena goes, I only gave them a 1, just because I think the only character that has some actual usability in Arena is Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler has amazing stats. He's a pretty unique character, man. Like, he does so much damage, and he's so tanky. Like, I've never seen such a like you've heard the term glass cannon, right? Like, it's like somebody that does a ton of damage but is super squishy. This guy has the best of both worlds. Not only does he have a huge health pool, but he does a ton of damage, and he's got a bunch of other stuff. Like, he is annoying to kill, especially at really high levels. So he scales incredibly well, especially in the late game. So for that reason, we gave him a 1 for their Arena ranking, just because, like I said, you know, I can't really give them a 2, just because I don't see a ton of Nightcrawlers, but every now and then you'll see a Nightcrawler splashed into the Arena defenses here and there. So it makes things a little bit tricky. So gave him a 1 there. Dark Dimension gave him a 3. I think Gambit is a really good global choice for you. Nightcrawler is fantastic as well. And then Forge as well, I think, you know, has some usability in Dark Dimensions. So gave him a 3 there. And then in Cosmic Crucible, I gave him a 5, just because of how great they are in the meta. Anytime a team requires a top 2 or top 3 offense team for that particular game mode, specifically Crucible. So what I'm saying is, if they require like a Superior 6, an MOE, a New Warriors, if they pull any of those offensive teams on Crucible defense, then that's how you know that it's a really good defense for Crucible. So this team requires either MOE or requires Superior 6. So for that reason, I gave them a 5. I think they're a fantastic team in Crucible. Don't use them much on offense, but on defense, they're pretty damn good. And then in War, I gave them a 4. I couldn't give them a 5 because I really don't think they're like an apex defense team. Although they are pretty annoying, I think a 4 is a pretty reasonable score for them. They're tough to beat, and if you can't control the Forge, or, you know, it's tricky, man, like dealing with their health pools, because they'll end up reviving, and then once they revive and they get going and stuff, and Sunspot's passive procs, it's a nightmare to take these guys down, right? So you have to really play the fight well, and you have to play the fight properly for this to work out. And then in raids, obviously, you know, these guys were created and they were meant to be a raid team. So gave them a 5. That's kind of a no-brainer. They're fantastic in raids. So that's bringing up their overall score to an 18 out of 25, giving them an A+ rating, in my opinion. Alrighty, the next team on my list is Pegasus. All right, now Pegasus is consisting of Kestrel, Rescue, Ironheart, Iron Man, Infinity War, and Darkhawk. Couldn't find an image for Darkhawk, although I wish I could have, because, man, he's one of the coolest looking characters in the game, in my opinion. So we just made Kestrel nice and big because she really is the pillar of this team. Her and Rescue are just absolutely goated. The whole team as a whole is amazing in raids. So in Arena, I actually went ahead and gave him a 1. Just because of how good and well-rounded this team is. It's really hard for me to just give them a 0. I know a lot of you guys probably aren't using these guys in Arena. If you're new to the game and you started building Pegasus and, you know, maybe Sinister 6, Pegasus is probably your best, you know, your best collection of characters for Arena. So to some of you guys, these guys might rank a lot higher for Arena for you guys. But for the level that I'm at, I don't really see them at all in Arena, so I think the only character that might have some plug-and-play ability is obviously Kestrel. So for that reason, I gave him a 1 just because of how good Kestrel is. Dark Dimension gave him a 2.5. So Kestrel is pretty damn amazing. Also, Rescue, you can take her into Global as well. And Rescue as well, you really want to have your Rescue as big as you possibly can on this team. Keeping her alive and letting her do her thing with her special and her ultimate and giving energy and reviving people and stuff is pretty crucial. So make sure that you guys are building Kestrel and Rescue to the moon. The other 3 characters, not necessarily slack on them, but build them up to a decent level. But really, you want to have your Kestrel and your Rescue as big as possible. So for that reason, that Kestrel is so damn good of a character in just about every single game mode, I had to give him a little bit of an extra score, 2.5. So in Dark Dimension, gave him a 2.5. Cosmic Crucible, I am giving him a score of 4. They're pretty tricky, man. They are very tricky, especially right now with the room rules in Room 5 with the tech, the tech call out there. Every time they ult, anytime any tech character ults, they revive an ally, a dead ally. So it's tricky fighting some big Pegasuses in Room 5. So for that reason, gave them a 4 just because of how strong they are in the current meta for Cosmic Crucible. And then in War, I gave him a 3.5. Again, this is mainly because the 0.5, anytime you see 0.5, it's because there's probably one character on that team that really stands out and shines, and is just that damn good. And Kestrel is that character. Kestrel is just that damn good. So I gave him a 3.5 because they're not, I don't think they're on the same levels as Extreme X-Men when it comes to War, but Kestrel just gives them that little bit of an edge to, take them from a 3 to a 3.5. And then in Raids, gave him a 5. I honestly would give him a 6 because of how damn good this team is in Raids. They are absolutely amazing in Raids. I only have them at like 1.3 mil right now, and they are simming Incursion 2. Right, so that's just to kind of show you like just how damn good this team's going to be, and they're going to continue to be the main tech solution for raids for quite some time. So that brings their score to a 16 out of 25, bringing them to an A WAPO score, and yeah, on to the next team. All right, and the next team we have on our list is Darkhold. This is the first of our 4 Horsemen team that are needed to unlock Apocalypse. This team is consisting of Morgan Le Fay, Agatha, Wong, Heartless, and Scarlet Witch. So in Arena, I gave him a 2, just because I think that Wong and Morgan Le Fay do have some presence there. Again, really depends on where you're at in the game and what your arena shard looks like. For me, I sometimes see Morgan Le Fay on defense getting plugged in. Some of you guys might be seeing, the full Darkhold. Some of you guys might just see Wong and Agatha. Wong and Morgan. But I just think Wong and Morgan have some presence in arena. Again, like I said, just depends on where you're at in the game. Dark Dimension, I gave him a 2, just because I think that Morgan Le Fay, obviously, she could be one of your go-to characters for the legendary nodes in DD6. And I gave him an extra point for Dark Dimension, right? Just because I think that you could really choose, man. You could go with Doctor Strange Heartless. You can go with Agatha or Wong. I really don't think it's worth bringing up more than 2 characters to G18 if you're trying to be very careful with your resources. I don't know. I just don't think they're great in Dark Dimension. They definitely shine elsewhere. So I just went ahead and gave them a 2, just kind of a safe, comfortable score. If you guys disagree, let me know in the comments below. Crucible, I went ahead and gave him a 4. I know that there's specific counter for this team on defense. But I just think they're pretty strong Crucible defense. They're just strong in Crucible, in general. You can use them on offense to take out Infinity Watch, which can be pretty pesky, or you can throw them on defense and force opponents to use up like a Tangled Web, their Nova, their Kestrels, things like that. And then in War, I gave them a 4. They're one of the better War defenses, in my opinion. I have them on defense with Dormammu, and they get beat pretty handily against Underworld. So if you put the straight up vanilla Darkhold with all 5 characters and you don't replace anybody, they actually lose pretty badly to an Underworld, so just be careful with that. So if you're putting them on defense, I would suggest putting them with like taking out Scarlet Witch and putting in like a Dormammu or a Doom or something, just kind of trip up your opponent's thought process, instead of just them seeing your full Darkhold and just using Underworld and just beating it outright. So in War, I gave them a 4, and then in Raids, I gave them a 2. Again, they're not really that good in Raids. They're not intended for Raids. But you could make a case that Morgan is still pretty good in the Mystic nodes, and so is either Strange or Wong. So most people are just going to be using the full Bifrost, but because of how good of a team they are, I just went ahead and gave them a 2, maybe a 1. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. So that brings their overall score to a 14 out of 25, giving them an A- rank. All right, next team on the list, we have Gamma. Now, the Gamma team is consisting of Red Hulk, OG Hulk, She-Hulk, Brawn, and Abomination. Now, Abomination is actually is the only villain Gamma character on this team. So Abomination's actually going to have some usefulness with the new Cabal team that's going to be coming out, so I'm very curious to see how that's going to work. That actually might bump him up the list a little bit more, but as of now, he's the one that gets replaced for me most of the time. He's probably the least, I don't want to say least important, but he's probably, the least prioritized character in terms of gear and resources go. Obviously, so in Arena, I went ahead and gave him a 1, just because I don't really see Gamma at all. If anything, I'll probably just see Red Hulk that's getting plugged in into teams either on defense or offense. But I really don't see any of the other characters in Arena. But I really don't see any of the other characters in Arena. So you guys can make a case for them if you guys feel like they should be bumped up a little bit higher. But I just gave him a 1 because, like I said, I really only see Red Hulk on defense. Dark Dimension, I gave him a 3. Now I think Red Hulk is decent for the legendary nodes in Dark Dimension. He's got a really good special where he rewinds primary and adjacents, and then he's got a killer ultimate that is going to flip everything and put trauma. So I think he's a great option for the legendary nodes in Dark Dimension 6 or whatever Dark Dimension you're currently on. If you have him, build him for those legendary nodes because he's going to put in some work for you. The other 2 points that they got from that really is just from you could do She-Hulk and I think OG Hulk. If you're going to build anybody else from this Gamma team to bring him into Dark Dimension, those are the only 2 other picks that I would bring up in my personal opinion. Would be OG Hulk and She-Hulk. Cosmic Crucible, give him a 3. Most of the time, I'm just going to be, if I see a Gamma on defense, my mind just automatically goes to New Warriors because New Warriors has just been the solution for them in Cosmic Crucible for a long time. But like I said, any team that can pull one of those top war offenses, Superior 6, your MOEs, your New Warriors, any team that can pull a strong offense team like that deserves to have a pretty decent rank. And I think Gamma is there. They're tricky. If you don't play it right and you push the Red Hulk a little bit too fast and you get him those 5 charges, he's gonna ult and flip everything on you if you don't have safeguard, and it's just gonna make it a bad time for you, man. So make sure that you guys are bringing in the right counters for them. So for that reason, I gave him a 3. Could be a 4. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. War absolutely gave them a 5. They're one of, if not still, the best war offense team in my opinion. They're fantastic in War. They get all their juicy buffs in War. And most of the time I'm taking out Abomination for Apocalypse, and that's my primary counter to any Secret Defenders with Super Scrolls on defense. Anytime I see a Super Scroll on defense in War, I'm usually just using Gamma APOC to kill it. So this is a must-build team for War if you care about that game mode. And then in Raids, I gave them a 2. There's a new bio team out, so you don't necessarily have to use them in Raids, but if you wanted to plug anybody in, I would say Red Hulk and OG Hulk will have some value for you in those bio nodes. But let me know what you guys think, man. But for now, that's my gamma ranking. That scores him at a 14 out of 25, giving him an A- rank. All right, next up on the list, we have new warriors consisting of Gwenpool, Deathpool, Firestar, Cloak, and Dagger. Now, in Arena, they get a fat whopping 0. I think they're the only team on this list that get a 0. They maybe could have gotten a 1. I guess you could make the case that you could put in, you could put in Deathpool in there. Deathpool would probably be the only character, in my opinion, that would have some usefulness in Arena. Again, it's all subjective to where you're at in your roster and where you're at in the game as well. But for me, I don't see these guys on defense at all, ever. So I gave him a fat whopping 0. Dark Dimension, I gave him a 4. I think this team really does shine in Dark Dimension. Cloak and Dagger have been a pretty awesome duo and a good pair to take into Dark Dimension. I know I used them in Dark Dimension 5 and Dark Dimension 4. They were fantastic for me. Although it did get a little bit costly once I got into Dark Dimension 6, I just couldn't justify putting all that Mystic gear into these two characters for Dark Dimension 6. But nevertheless, they're still really, really good. If you have the gear, if you have them built up, they're absolutely amazing as a pair together. Firestar, absolute must build for City, for Dark Dimension 6. Going back to Robbie, she's going to put out a ton of bleeds on her ultimate and her special, and those bleeds are going to help Robbie just be an Energizer Bunny. So she's like the battery for Robbie, so she really does help him get going, and she's just an amazing character. She scales incredibly well with gear, and once you put some diamonds on her, dude, she could literally one-shot some people like right out the gate in Cosmic Crucible and War, and in Dark Dimension, she's going to be amazing for you guys for City. So she's absolutely a must build in my opinion. Gwenpool and Deathpool, they're okay in Dark Dimension. I haven't heard any bad things about them, but really it's just going to be Firestar and Cloak and Dagger that you're going to want to bring in for Dark Dimension. I just think they have really, really good. I just think they're really, really good in Dark Dimension, so I just went and gave them a 4. Cosmic Crucible, they're one of the best teams in Cosmic Crucible for offense, so I gave them a 5. It's kind of a no-brainer there. They're incredibly fast. They have a ton of turn meter manipulation in their kit with all the Crucible tags and stuff in their kit. And once you get those charges on Deathpool, she could just one-shot any character. So she's really, they're really good. They take out Secret Defenders, they take out Gamma, they can kill a bunch of other stuff too. But they're fantastic. War gave them a 3. They probably would only get like a 2 to be totally honest, but I gave them a 3 just because of the current war rules that are going on. They're buffed right now in war, so I see a lot of people putting in like a Chavez. Chavez gives 25% turn meter right out the gate in war defense. So I see them slide in Chavez in between like Firestar and Cloak, and my goodness, do they freaking hit hard. Like Firestar coming out the gate swinging with that ultimate is not fun, especially if you don't have your teams built. So that's a pretty unique defense that I've been seeing in war, but just because of the current war rules right now, they are buffed, so they do get a bit of a higher score. So they got a 3, could be a 4, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. And then raids gave them a 2. I don't think they're very, very good in raids. If anything, you could do Cloak and Dagger for some of the Mystic nodes, but they're not great. There's, we obviously have some dedicated raid teams. So in raids, I only gave them a 2, maybe a 1. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. But that brings their total score to a 14 out of 25, giving them an A- rank. All right, next up on the list, we have Deathsea. Deathsea is going to be consisting of Archangel, Dark Beast, Magneto, Nemesis, and Psylocke. Arena, I gave them a 1. They're not very good in Arena. I mean, again, it's all subjective, but I don't see any of these characters in Arena. If anything, the one character that might have some plug-and-play ability, you guessed it, it's going to be Archangel. Dark Dimension gave him a 3. Now, I think Nemesis is an amazing character for Dark Dimension. So he's got some health percentage steal in his I believe it's just ultimate and his special. It might just be the ultimate, but I think it's the special and the ultimate. So any damage ability that steals percentage health in the game is going to be a must bring into Dark Dimension, for me at least. So like characters like Omega Red that have percentage health steal, Val that has percentage health steal, Nemesis has that percentage health steal that you're looking for when it comes to damage and sustainability. So if you guys are looking for a solid global option, dude, Nemesis is amazing. So for that reason, I gave him a pretty decent score just because of how good Nemesis is. Dark Beast, you could bring him into Dark Dimension as well. He's going to be great for you in Global. He's going to be able to revive Nemesis if you pair him together. He's going to provide ability blocks and a bunch of other good stuff. And then Archangel, you could bring him into the Legendary nodes. A little expensive, but if you're looking for a good mutant option and you have the extra mutant gear, I don't see why not. Crucible, gave him a 3. Honestly, they could be a little bit lower, just because I don't really see them being used anywhere in Crucible. If anything, they're more of a cleanup team, so maybe I could have just given him a 2. But just because of how well-rounded and how good the team is, I gave him a 3. Now, in War, same score, they're kind of the same deal as Crucible. They're not at the top, they're not at the bottom. They're kind of just a mid-tier team. So in War, I gave them a 3. They're okay. And then in Raids, I gave them a 4. I couldn't give them a 5 because there's a new mutant team on the block that's just better. But they're not completely trash in Raids. Like they were built to be a raid team. And they still do shine in raids. If you're doing like Incursion 1 or some of the lower raids, they're going to obviously crush it. But once you start getting into Incursion 2, those enemies are much stronger. So you just need more out of a raid team. So gave them a 4 out of 5. I don't think that's I don't think that's a terrible score. That brings their total score to a 14 out of 25, giving him an A- rank. Very last team on this list is going to be Unlimited X-Men. This is going to consist of Rogue, Gambit, Dazzler, Sunfire, and Phantom X. Now, this team is pretty cool. What I really like about this team is going to be Gambit, if I'm being honest with you guys. So Gambit, I mean, dude, if you build up Gambit, you're double dipping into 2 teams. So Gambit's been on this list twice. He's been with Unlimited and he's on the Extreme team. So absolutely, Gambit's a must-build character in the game. Rogue is great as well. All right, in Arena, I gave him a 1. I don't see really anybody from Unlimited X-Men on defense in Arena. If anything, Rogue might be the only character that's actually got some viability in Arena. Again, just it's all subjective. I don't want anyone coming for my throat just because I'm saying, that they're trash or anything like that in Arena. But right now, from where I'm at in the game, I don't really see any of them, being subbed in for anybody. But you could make the case that Rogue is probably the best plug and play, for any game mode, really. And then Dark Dimension, gave him a 3. I think Gambit's a really good option for Global. Rogue is also a really good option as well. She provides a ton of control with her special. Just being able to just her special is so devastating. Like, you can control an Apocalypse, you can control a Red Hulk, a Doom. Like, the fact that she can absolutely shut down one particular character and just have the other team stuck behind her because she taunts and has all these crazy buffs that she puts on herself with her special, is so dang good. So I gave him a score of a 3 in Dark Dimension. I think Gambit and Rogue are kind of no-brainers if you're looking for some options like that. I don't think they're absolutely like must builds, for Dark Dimension, but they are very good in the game mode. And the other third character, I guess, for Dark Dimension, I mean, Dazzler maybe, but I just gave him a score of a 3, just because I think Rogue and Gambit are that damn good. Crucible, I gave him a 4. Now, I think Crucible, it's crazy, right? They're the first team that I think they were the first legitimate Crucible team, and it's sad. It's sad how fast of a shelf life they had, right? I really thought that this team was going to be around and be a powerhouse in Crucible for a very long time, but they kind of underperformed in that sense a little bit. But they're still pretty good. They get most of their call outs in their kit are catered towards Crucible. So if you're looking for a solid option to throw on defense or possibly use them on offense, this is definitely a good team for Crucible. I don't think they're a top 5. I don't think they're a top 3 team in Crucible at the moment. So for that reason, I gave them a 4. Could have even put him at a 3 and I would have felt just fine about it, but I absolutely could not put him at a 5. So, that's just my opinion. And then in War, gave him a 3.5. Just because I think, like I said, Gambit and Rogue are just that damn good. They just add a little bit of extra brownie points to the overall viability and the usefulness of the team. So I gave him a 3.5 there. And then in Raids, I gave him a 2. They're just not good in raids, really. Like, they weren't intended to be a raid team anyway. But if you're gonna plug in anybody, you're gonna plug in Rogue and Gambit, and that's it, man. I mean, not really much to say about them. You need them for Apocalypse. Okay, and I promised you guys 5 plug and play characters, and here they are. The person that I forgot to put on the list, and I was just too lazy to add him in there and replace somebody, was Apocalypse. Now, Apocalypse obviously is a must build character in MSF right now. He's the second best character in the game, second to Super Skrull. He absolutely deserves to be on this list. So just pretend that I put Apocalypse in here, okay? All right, so the first character on this list is obviously Super Skrull. Super Skrull is the only character on this list, not only as an individual, but from all the teams. He's the only character that is good and absolutely is a god in every single game mode. He gets a score of a 5 in every single game mode, bringing his total score to a 25 out of 25, making him the only S++ character on this list. He's incredible in Arena, Dark Dimension. I mean, I don't really have to say too much, right? Like, he is the best character in the game. Kang gets an S+. He scored a 4 in Arena. I guess you could put him as a 5. I mean, I just think this guy is going to continue to be a staple for people because of his time. I'm sorry, because of his speed manipulation on his passive. We see how long Emma Frost has been around. She's been around for over 2+ years. She's still relevant after 2+ years. Same thing with Cable. Cable has, been a staple for people when it comes to, getting that extra speed advantage in fights and needing that little bit of an extra edge. So you have characters like Emma Frost, Nick Fury, and Cable, and now we have Kang the Conqueror. And Kang is basically like a Cable 2.0. Except that Kang actually has a really, really good kit. The dude deletes people on his ultimate. He gives himself offense up on his special and slows everybody. And his basic, if you can hit somebody with vulnerable and you got ISO 5 striker on him, he freaking deletes people with his basic attack. So Kang is an absolute must-have on this list. I went ahead and gave him a 4 in Arena. Like I said, he could be a 5, easily be a 5 in Arena because of just how good he is with all his speed manipulation. Gave him a 5 in Dark Dimension because he's the only character that I have at 3 diamonds. Let me just put it that way. He's the only character I have at 3 diamonds, and it was really just the Val and Kang show in Cosmic DD6. So absolutely must bring him into DD6 in my opinion. Cosmic Crucible, he's the pillar for the MOE team. So having a big Kang there in Cosmic Crucible is going to help you really get through some of those tough fights. And then in War, I gave him a 5 just because of just how damn good he is as far as plug and play ability goes. MOE as a full team in War is not very good, but Kang by himself deserves to have a 5 because of just how good he is, period. Raids, I gave him a 4. I couldn't give him a 5 here because I don't know, man. I mean, I think as far as a tech character goes, he's good, but I just think that Pegasus is that good of a raid team that subbing him in for somebody from the Pegasus team is almost not worth it. It's almost worth it. It's definitely worth it just to keep the full Pegasus team. But I gave him a 4. Could have easily given a 5. Could have easily made him an S++ character, but I just don't think he's on that level as Super Skrull. So I had to give him, demote some points somewhere. So that gives him an S+. The other S+ characters that we have are going to be Black Knight and Quicksilver. But let's talk about Dormammu. Dormammu is the DD4 reward. He's okay in Arena. I don't see him a ton anymore, but he's very, very good if you have him. Make sure you guys are using him in Arena. So I gave him a 3 in Arena, gave him a 5 in Dark Dimension. He is a little bit expensive, but man, if he can get to his ultimate and give all your team that health back and just do that massive ultimate to do some damage and flip everything, it's going to be pretty impactful in Dark Dimension. Cosmic Crucible, gave him a 4. He adds that little bit of a challenge, that little bit of a puzzle for people when you put him on defense in Cosmic Crucible. It's like, how do I play around these revives? You have to bring in characters that can strip the revives, or sack it and then come back in. It just adds another level of complexity to the fights. So I think Dormammu is great in Cosmic Crucible. And then in War, I gave him a 5 just because of how good he is. Again, for the same reasons as Cosmic Crucible. I guess maybe I could have given him a 5 in Cosmic Crucible as well, just because of that plug and play ability. And Raids, I gave him a 3. He's not the best in Raids, but like I said, his kit is just that damn good. I just don't think he deserves to be like a 2 or a 1. So I think a 3 is a pretty happy medium. And then Black Knight is one of next character that we're going to talk about is Quicksilver. Quicksilver is one of my favorite plug and play characters in the game. I gave him a 3 in Arena just because don't Game of 3 in Arena, Game of 5 in Dark Dimension. He was a very, very good global character for myself in Dark Dimension. You know, he goes super, super fast. If you can pair him with somebody like Doom, the dude takes a million turns. So if you can do that, you guys can see what I'm talking about. Use him with Doom and just watch him take a bajillion turns. Cosmic Crucible, Game of 4. He's a really, really good plug-and-play character in Cosmic Crucible. You can use him on offense. You can use him on defense. It trips some people up if you put him with like Darkhold and stuff. It makes that fight a little bit trickier. Obviously, there's some people most people have come up with some counters for Darkhold Quicksilver, but he's still a very, very good option as a plug and play character in Cosmic Crucible. Same thing for War. I think in War he's just even better. Same thing for War. In War, I just think he's just better than what he is in CC. And then in Raids, I gave him a 3. Just like, again, happy medium. You know, his kit is too damn good to just give him a 2 or a 1. But just a happy medium as a 3 score. You know, so that brings him up to an S+. So I think he's definitely an S+ character when it comes to plug and play ability. And then last but not least, we have Black Knight, everyone's favorite shiny new toy. The dude is an absolute juggernaut. He's the only real solution to Super Scroll at the moment. It's kind of crazy, man. As good as Super Scroll is, Black Knight has just, you know, flipped the meta on its head. So in Arena, I gave him a 5. This dude could easily be a 6 in Arena. Shit, I'll probably change that now. Arena, Black Knight is absolutely a 6. Like, this dude is cracked out of his mind in Arena. Dark Dimension, I gave him a 5. I haven't used him in Dark Dimension, but I'm gonna go ahead and test him out. And I'm assuming that because the enemy team can't sack it, right, and they can't apply exhaust, this dude is just gonna be deleting people left and right in Dark Dimension because of his passive. Passive is absolutely cracked. And then in Cosmic Crucible, gave him a 5. You really, really, really do not want to underestimate this guy in Cosmic Crucible. If you see a 3/3, a 3 yellow, 3 red Black Knight on defense, do not underestimate that Black Knight because he will destroy you. And then in War, gave him a 5. Same reason as all the other game modes. The dude is just cracked, man. He's just that damn good. He's just that damn good. You have to sack the team. If you're playing against a full out of time team, good luck. If you're playing with a team that has just Black Knight on defense, good luck. You're either going to have to sack it or you're going to have to bring an Apocalypse because the dude is crazy. And then in Raids, I gave him a 3. Again, happy medium. He's got an amazing kit. He's obviously not a raid character, but I mean, like I said, if you can't put exhaust on him, he's just going to be deleting people. That's it. Point blank period. So there you guys have it. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to drop a like on this video. Drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think about this list. If there's any rankings that I might have messed up, or if there's a team that you thought I probably scored a little bit too high or too low, let me know, man. I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts. I love interacting with the comment section, whether it be positive or negative. I don't give a shit. You guys know me. If you don't know me, get to know me. I do stream this game live on Twitch. Monday through Wednesday. I typically just stream Cosmic Crucible. It's my favorite game mode, but I've been starting to stream some more War. But if you guys do want to catch me live, I'm going to drop a link in the description for the Twitch channel. But yeah, man, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.